starting now.
Smart session.
Right. Okay, in 2 minutes I'm going to make 2 points. And it's basically to answer one question, which is what should we be doing now? We have a problem now with traffic on the A1303, and we have a problem with getting people in from Cambourne and the villages in between. So what could we be doing that would be quick and easy and uncontroversial to deliver? And I suggest that the first thing we should be doing is building a bus station in Cambourne. If anyone's been to Cambourne, you'll see that there is no place where you can conveniently catch or get off a bus, or that it's pleasant to wait for a bus. And actually one of the reasons why the X5 bus service doesn't call in at Cambourne, even though it runs almost through the night to St Neots and out to Oxford, is because there's nowhere for it to stop, so Stagecoach won't do it. So actually if we put a bus station there, we will get a much better bus service, it'll be much more pleasant for everybody from around that area to catch the bus and get into the city. Here is an obvious location to put a bus station. It's in between where the dual carriageway splits between the first roundabout when you leave the A428 and the next one. There's a nice area of land there, and we want something that people can be proud of, you know, that actually creates an asset to the community, not just some hideous piece of functional architecture, something that, so Stoke-on-Trent has this, Manchester has this, Norwich has this. Something like this that could be a community, you know, that could be a community asset that can be used for more than just travel. And the second thing I suggest that we do is that when you get on your bus and you get off the A428, you now have to negotiate Madingley Hill down the A33. That's where the queues are. Now, you may have encountered something called ramp metering on the motorway. You come down the ramp and there's some traffic lights at the end of the ramp, and it cycles through to regulate the flow of the traffic onto the motorway. And that ensures that the motorway doesn't get the sort of stop-start congestion that sort of kills the travel time. Now imagine you put an extra lane on there, and that's a bypass lane for the buses. Now we can put something like this in the first 500 metres, the A1303, between the Madingley Mulch roundabout and before Madingley Wood. That allows the buses to skip past a queue, and the rest of the traffic waits here rather than further down the hill.
Thanks, Edward. That's very good.
And in the meantime, we did fix the Girton interchange.
Thank you very much, Edward. Sorry. Yeah. Sorry for you being the guinea pig there, but I mean that is what we're going to do, speakers, I'm afraid, so that we have time for the audience to participate later. So Wendy Blythe, FeCRA, 2 minutes.
Yeah, you've got my slide.
Your slides up, yep.
Okay, no. Okay, good. Okay.
Can you put it on full slide?
It's on, yeah?
Or is this good enough? Fine, go ahead, sorry.
Okay. It's the way in which ugly schemes are being rushed through with poor briefs and inadequate consultation that bothers residents. We need to stand back from the pressures for financially driven development and instead think creatively, as cities like Berlin have done, about planning that engages citizens and businesses working together to ensure Cambridge and the region gets the well-designed, strategically planned infrastructure that will make it a better place to live and work. Cambridge has the potential to be the greenest city in the UK. This is a beautiful heritage city with a unique character. It has outstanding universities, cutting-edge research, and engaged residents with skills and expertise. The early decisions made on a project can have far-reaching consequences. Too many projects produce bad outcomes because commercial interests dominated from the outset. We need to involve residents as partners at an early stage before decisions are made. We have a corporate plan that includes a statement about adding to tree canopy and addressing climate change. Yet, the heavy engineering schemes proposed as a solution to Cambridge's transport problems strike at the heart of that. And what makes Cambridge attractive? Its lovely tree-lined streets and beautiful setting of water meadows. Transport proposals that cut through the greenbelt undermine the local plan and relate closely to emission sites being promoted by developers. Large infrastructure projects should be conceived, designed and delivered not just to mitigate negative environmental effects, but to take advantage of the opportunity to make places better than they were before. Achieving this requires the right expertise and community engagement. Design, good placemaking and civic engagement are at the heart of what makes for a happy city. Residents are looking to Mayor Palmer to give them a voice, to reject ugly developer-led growth and make Cambridge the greenest city in the UK.
Well done, Wendy. 1 minute 59. So we'll give a prize. So now, Terry McAllister, Cambridge Commons. Are you up to the challenge?
It feels a bit like a game show.
Sorry about that. It's
But I've actually, like Wendy, I've actually written it down and to make sure I get inside my 2 minutes, although I've got to confess it's 2 minutes, 7 seconds. Can you live with that? Anyway, listen, I'm here on behalf of the Cambridge Commons. We're a voluntary group that produce reports, hold talks and campaigns on local social justice issues. Cambridge might have a glamorous and affluent image. Indeed, James Palmer says it's the best place in the world to live. But it's recently been named the most unequal city in Britain. Communities with high inequality lack social cohesion, have worse health and crime statistics, and have a lower quality of life for all. The enormous economic growth spurt in Cambridge that James talked about earlier again, seen over the last decade, has been coupled with public sector cuts from the government's austerity programme. This led to soaring rent and property prices, but also a doubling of homelessness on the streets of Cambridge and heavy use of food banks. 1 in 3 children in King's Hedges live in poverty. Meanwhile, the centre of town risks being abandoned to tourist-related commerce or high street brands, turning Cambridge from gown town to clone town to eventually, we fear, no-soul town. We believe an undue focus by policymakers on the demands of big employers to create more high net worth jobs can only exacerbate these problems. We want to press pause on the city deal to ensure all projects have social justice at their heart and have proper consulted community support. If there really is £1 billion to spend, then Cambridge policymakers need to build a low-cost-to-use and green public transport system built around rail plus electric buses on existing roads, as well as prioritising pedestrians and cyclists. This would stop 200,000 diesel cars coming into the city, damaging health and the planet at a time when we should be moving to a zero-carbon Cambridge. We want pressure on developers to stand by their social housing commitments and landowners to keep commercial rents down. We need to find ways to allow young people to live here and start new businesses. Extra public cash must be found for more low-cost homes, especially for staff we depend on for our schools, hospitals and social services in return for the cash generated by the local economy. A new vision for Cambridge would build on its reputation as a place for big thinkers, business innovation and green spaces. But it would also aim for a vibrant, no-carbon and inclusive society where wealth is shared by everyone, especially young people who feel priced out of the future. This would stop Cambridge being turned into a giant drive-in cash point exploited by developers, but not fit to live in.
Thank you very much. The next is Rod Cantrell, Cambridge City Councillor.
During the recent elections, I listened to a lot of residents, both here in Cambridge and the surrounding area. And what they told me was that they're concerned. They're concerned about the level of congestion. They're concerned about the lack of affordable housing. And they're concerned that what we're doing is destroying what is special about this area. And they're also worried that their voice is not being heard. So I want to spend a moment talking about democratic deficit. But first, let me be 100% transparent. I don't believe in a Cambridge or surrounding area that's frozen in time. I do believe in growth. But that growth has to be sustainable. It has to be driven by the community, not imposed on a top-down basis. And the bodies that deliver that growth, they need to be truly representative of the stakeholders, particularly you, residents, the public. And in my view, those bodies currently fail that important test. With the Greater Cambridge Partnership, residents still feel that despite the new branding and the PR, it is not listening. And uncertainty also surrounds how the GCP and the combined authority work together. Words of collaboration, in my view, don't instill confidence of joined-up delivery. So I do welcome the Mayor's recent indication that he intends to undertake a review of local government across the area. And like other voices, I hope that review will be independent, that it will not just look at efficiencies in terms of the way councils deliver, but it will ensure that there is true democratic accountability and transparency at the heart of any new structure. For these bodies to deliver sustainable growth, it is vital that firstly you, the public, are at the heart of that debate on growth, and then secondly, that you, the public, have the confidence in those bodies to deliver for you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much indeed, Rod. Now on to the final speaker, Toby Hawkins, councillor for Cordiga.
In South Cambridgeshire.
Oh, have you got a...
So we're trying to get a new assistant here, but you know. Thank you both.
Where's Toomey? I haven't got Toomey's presentation.
You have it? Okay, this is where I apologise. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry to the neighbour.
You'll have to speak from the heart, sorry.
My slide actually showed I had only one slide and it showed exactly what I wanted to say.
Okay, you can have a 30 seconds
You
more.
can have longer.
Yeah, give her
Longer. Thank you. For those of you who know the map of the area, you understand that the city is completely surrounded by South Cambs. And South Cambs is the 6th best place to live in the country. That's official. I'm a rural folk. We're rural. We love living there because it's a nice place to live. Now, the city has its own growth, and I tend to say that, and I think it is true, that Cambridge is a victim of its own success. You've grown significantly. There's a lot of growth that you are having, that we are having to take. And we must understand that. The city deal is very city focused. What I'm trying to tell you is this: South Cambs and the city need to grow and grow together. We need to understand the needs of us rural folk. We need to get into the city. The current fiasco we have with the A428 corridor is the fact that we have to take some housing, which you need, which we also need, without the infrastructure or the proper infrastructure to go with it. So, my statement is, us rural folk need to understand why we are having to take what we are taking. You city folk, please do understand that we are not NIMBYs. We'd like to take some of that, but we need to be able to share the growth that you are having and the benefits that is coming to you. The city deal is now called the Greater City Partnership, which shows that it's not just the city, it's also South Cambs together with the city. And if you remember anything else about what I've said, just remember this: we need to grow together better. Thank you.